is Svetlana Stone. You are watching Artist Voices, where we believe it's essential for artist voices to be heard. And we are pleased to have Sarah Emerson, a classical singer, here tonight to talk about what does it take to be a musician at 21st century. Thank you so much, Sarah, for being with us tonight and saying yes to this interview. We are so happy to learn what does it take to be a musician at 21st century. So how was your date?
Oh, very good. Thank you. I'm looking forward to the interview. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we are so glad. And could you please tell us how you will end up in Kalamazoo? What brought you here?
So I always say I moved from the to the big city. I was living in St. Joseph, teaching right out of grad school. I went to Interlochen Arts Academy for high school, and then University of Michigan for my undergrad in voice performance and choral ed, and then went right on to my master's at Bowling Green State University in Ohio in voice performance, and then I went and taught in St. Joseph, Michigan, over on beautiful Lake Michigan for a few years, and then I met my husband, and he lived in Kalamazoo, and I moved to Kalamazoo, hence the big city, and have just enjoyed teaching here and singing all over the state and country and abroad, and it's a good place to call home for sure.
It is. It's a little bit far from St. Joseph Lake, right?
Yeah. I did enjoy walking to Lake Michigan. It was easier than the 45-minute drive, but anyway, I dream of a lake home one day, so I better get a lot of gigs, as my husband says.
But still, Kalamazoo is not too bad, right?
No, it's a good place to land.
Yeah, especially for a classical singer. So tell us about yourself a little bit, and how you were introduced to music, how you even decided to become a singer.
I guess I imagine my story is similar to a lot of other singers, where I just grew up loving to sing, from as soon as I could talk, kind of a thing. So I think I performed publicly the first time when I was 3 years old at a church function, and I grew up singing in church and, doing honors choirs, doing music camp, doing Interlochen, and just all the singing I could. And I, at a young age, realized my voice was well suited to classical music, which is pretty unique when you're younger. And then you grow up and you realize there's a lot of classical singers, but it was unique. And it was, anyway, and just, such a rush to sing such beautiful music. And So, I was exposed to it at a young age with my parents. We'd listen to the Met broadcast on Saturday in the car. And I didn't always love it, but I think it definitely influenced me. It was good for me, and I'm very blessed that I had that kind of exposure. And then as I grew up and just really loved the music and the genre, I tried to expose other people, I did projects on opera music, and I'd present it to my classmates, and then I finally found my people by going to Interlochen and being surrounded by other artists, young artists, these kids that were as serious about their career in music or art or writing as I was, and then things just took off from there. I made friends from all over the world, which I just adored, and flourished and grew as a musician. And like I mentioned, I went to University of Michigan for my undergrad, and I dual degreed with ed, with the choral education and the voice performance in 5 years, because I always knew I wanted a family, as well as having a singing career. And I also loved the influence I had from my choir directors, and that really inspired me while I was growing up. So I wanted to be that for somebody one day. But and then just really wanting badly to have a singing career, got a full ride for my master's and wanted to keep developing. And as you know, the human voice grows with you because you are your instrument. And so like a fine wine, I suppose, it just keeps, getting better, and the older you get. So going on to my master's was great to let me keep vocally, maturing and growing in my technique. And anyway, and then I decided to try teaching right away, and my heart was just really, really wanting to perform more. And so I retired kind of early from public school teaching to pursue my singing career. I also started my voice studio, which, when I moved to Kalamazoo, which at its height before I had my kids had 40 students, so I was very busy, but I get to like live out that passion of teaching and helping the next generation and helping other singers' journeys to find their true voice, or to help their techniques, to really solidify, maybe have less struggles that I did with a more traditional, we'll say old school vocal kind of track. I just try to make technique accessible and tailored to each student, so that there's the kind of growth and understanding of your vocal mechanism and technique earlier. So, and anyway, that leads me to where I am now. I'm just creating my own path, my own career, singing as much as I can. My teaching, I've taken a little bit of a step away because I have a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old, and being a mom, for my day job is very important to me right now, and it allows me to go sing in evenings or weekends and really get to live out all my dreams of being a singer, being a mom. I have a little bit of teaching, and one day when the kids are in school, I'm sure I'll do a lot more of that. And anyway, that's me in a big nutshell.
So having so much things in your hand, being mom and, like at the same time, singer and performer. So what does it take to be a musician at 21st century? And when you decide to take this path, did you get a lot of support from your parents, or maybe you heard different opinion when you realize that, okay, I want to be a singer, but what does it take? What really it took you to become, a singer of the level you are right now?
It's a great question, because it's an ever-evolving thing. And again, I think the beauty of being a human is the more you learn about yourself and the more you grow, the more confidence and security you have in yourself and as an artist. So I would say, starting off, I assumed, we'll say in the 20th century, that I would take the same traditional route that a lot of artists have. And as an opera singer, as you know, a lot of it is around young artist programs. So you go to school, you go to college, and then the bridge to your professional career has always historically been around these operatic training programs, right? These young artist programs. So when I graduated, I did the audition season in New York, and I'd go for a couple weeks, and I'd audition for all these programs, which aren't cheap because it's like the one field you have to pay for your job applications. And anyway, I did that, and I loved the audition experience. I did it, but I wasn't getting any bites. And being a larger lyric soprano voice, it again takes time for your voice to really develop and grow. And some of these programs, when you're in your early 20s, if you're not that polished, finished product, which larger voices aren't usually, anyway, it can be a hard nut to crack, so to speak. So what I have realized and what I advise other artists is you have to define your success. What is your definition of success? Going the traditional route of you must be picked up by a young artist program to bridge you into an opera career, and then you have to get an agent before you're 30, or you have to, be singing all these major summer opera festivals or whatnot. It's not failure if that's not the route that is destined for you. So for me, I have a hard look at what I love to do, and I love to sing. I love to sing anywhere for anyone, and I love exposing people to classical vocal music. I love people, who have not had much experience in that, how they're so, just affected at their core by it, and especially, having it live. We're an acoustical instrument, and the way your timbre and sound affects people in person is much different than if you're hearing something on the radio or recorded. So anyway, defining success for me was having having a singing career, making some living from singing. And so I keep kind of making benchmarks for myself of how many gigs do I want a month, or how active, what feels like success for me, and having that regular singing experience, be it with symphonies. I'm blessed to be able to sing with a lot of area symphonies, and to be singing at churches on Sundays for church gigs, for special music, making opportunities for myself in the form of creative recital, like creative programming. I have a opera babies program I've gotten to present at a few libraries, where it's aimed at exposing young children and their parents to opera, and being able to just show how, no matter how young an ear is, there is this response to the human voice, and especially to classical singing. I found with my son, when he was young, how he just would perk up when I'd be doing vocalises, and I wondered if it was unique just to a classical singer's child. And then I found no, like these kids, their parents, after I'd give these performances, they'd come up and they'd say, my child doesn't sit still ever, but when you sang, they were just enthralled. And they said when they sat in their laps, their bodies just relaxed and just were so enveloped by the sound. And I find it's fascinating and amazing. And part of my life's work, as an artist and as a person, is to just keep providing those opportunities for people to hear and enjoy, what it is we have to offer, and this real gift that is, classical singing and music. So anyway, that's...
Thank you for sharing. This is beautiful.
Thanks.
Thank you for sharing. Speak about... you mentioned that about voice, and this is very fragile instrument. So, and how you take care of this, and what is involved, to keep this instrument alive, like you said, it's changing
right
throughout the time, and it's also another challenge, right, that you must face.
Yeah. Anytime I have a big gig coming up, I will get very jealous of instrumentalists whose instrument is not their body, because it is, you understand, it's so nerve-wracking.
That's why I asked this question. You mentioned a little bit.
And so, I mean, at least mask wearing is now in vogue, and I think I may continue it, because, and especially being a mom of young children, I just went through this before my Messiah performance this December. I got sick with, luckily, just a respiratory, just a head cold. Anyway, but it wreaked havoc on my voice. And through modern medical, advancements, anyway, I was able to make it through and get to do the gig, but it was a bit of a nail biter. So anyway, yes, it's just difficult. It's difficult. It's also something that I used to worry, like, were I to be, say, at a very large-scale opera house, or, having a very demanding classical, singing career, with really, really high stakes, we'll say. I was always worried, like, would I have to choose between reading my children stories or vocal rest, And I'm like, what a terrible thing to have to choose. And as it is, sometimes I can't sing that lullaby over and over, because I do have a performance the next day. So that's a quiet night at putting a child to bed. But anyway, all that being said, it's very taxing. And personally speaking, my first year of public school teaching as a young teacher, with like choirs as big as 60 students, and um, kids not always really wanting to listen, and I had no amplification system. I unfortunately developed nodules. That was a long time ago when I was first teaching, but it was traumatic to say the least, because here that was my instrument. I was still singing while I was public school teaching, and it's just an example of how fragile it is, how important proper speaking technique and supportive speaking
It's
techniques
different.
concerned, and unfortunately something that sometimes falls through the cracks for vocal development for singers, because most of us still have day jobs, and you're trying to juggle it all, make it work. So proper sleep, proper hydration, humidification. It's a pretty high maintenance instrument. And I think I'm going to wear masks like the week or two before my performances. Even around my kids. I love them so much, but they definitely bring home the germs. Anyway, we're all trying to figure out how to make it work. But yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
I'm jealous of instrumentalists. That's
true.
all. When I get sick, I'm really jealous.
You cannot just simply tie and tune your voice as they do.
Yeah, put it into its case and keep it someplace safe. But anyway, it's also an amazing experience to be your instrument.
To have your instrument,
be part of you. It's a very,
part of your body. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's I guess it's both.
It is. It's amazing. Welcome back to Artist Voices. For those of you who just tuned in, we are here with our special guest, Sarah Emerson, to learn about what does it take to be a musician and artist at the 21st century. And thank you again for being with us. We are so glad that you are here. And I would like to ask you a little bit before about challenges. So I want to ask you what kind of challenges artists are facing today.
Definitely. So being an artist, probably the number one most difficult thing is, for the vast majority of us, is being your own management, right? So you are both the business side and the artistic side. And so navigating, networking and contracts and being a business is a challenging thing. And when I was in school, I took as many courses the music school provided for the music business side. Nothing prepares you as much as real life, real world experiences, but not undervaluing yourself. I think it's an interesting thing we do. We may be asked to provide a aria or a special, a piece of music or two or 10 minutes or whatnot, say if it's a gig kind of situation. And a lot of people don't understand that, we're not really hourly people, that what goes into being a professional musician, a professional singer, professional instrumentalist is thousands, tens of thousands of hours of perfecting your craft. And so, all those years, all that studying, I think it's interesting. A lot of people don't know that professional musicians, especially professional singers, still have coaches. You still are paying for professional development because that's what's required. When you're your instrument, you need another set of ears to be giving you feedback. And so, there are many expenses, and like I said, all involved in professional development that goes directly into your craft, and that is part of what makes your product, the music you're providing, the highest echelon it can, and that needs to be properly compensated and appreciated. So I think that's that's a very difficult thing, and knowing your worth and asking for it, is important. Being your own advocate, to make sure that you are valued. So it's something that I wish that the world as an entirety understood and appreciated, and because I think the music is very appreciated and received, and what encourages and helps sustain those of us that are making this a profession and bringing this artistry and beauty into the world, and is that understanding and being met with that by those hiring us, so that so we can keep providing that music and quality, to the world. So.
You also mentioned earlier that in December you did perform Messiah,
Mm-hmm.
and just out of curiosity for our viewers,
Yes.
So how long it's take you to learn this,
Right.
your musical part, to perform?
Yes. Well, I mean, it takes many hours of practice, many hours right now of virtual coachings with my vocal coach to make sure, that every melisma was just on, and that it was, perfected for this performance. And then, and then there's traveling to the, we have to travel, be it by air or driving or whatnot, to the to the location. This was with Adrian Symphony, and it was it's a lot of preparation to get, especially handle up and going, for sure.
And being an artist, even though like you're facing so much challenges, being artist is not easy, but you still to continue to bring this beautiful music to the world. And have you ever thought like, what does it music like why you still continue to do that?
Oh, sure.
And what you're trying to say to the world?
Oh, yeah.
Through the music.
Good question. Well, I believe if there's a song in your heart, there's a song in your heart. Like you can't deny who you are, a part of yourself. So it really chooses you, and it would be denying who I was to not do it. Period. So music is like oxygen to your soul. When you're a musician, you have to do it. So I love what I get to do. I love that my husband can tell my kids when I'm going to go sing or do a performance, "Oh, mommy's got to go to work." Like, that makes me so proud and excited that I get to live what I dreamed my whole life of doing, which is being a singer. And like I said, defining your success is so important. Yeah. And so when you can define it for yourself and not feel beat down by not society, but maybe a traditional path that your field has kind of promoted, then and you can define your own career, your own, it's just a very awesome experience. So, and then I think another really important thing that we all need to understand, and I think especially as singers, is don't put an age, don't put an expiration date on yourself. You can keep singing. There was a famous Polish mezzo, or actually contralto, that I read about years ago, and I can't think of her name, but she was discovered at 50, and her career just took off. And perseverance, My voice teacher from U of M even will tell me, of many of my students, you're one of the only ones who just keeps doing it. You keep pounding the pavement and you're having success. You have a career, and it's okay if it's not what you want. It's okay, but if it's what you want and you persevere and you think creatively and you pursue people that need music, then you can totally live your career and live your life. Like I said, it was very important to me to have. I knew at the end of my life I would more regret not having had a family than not having been in that top 1% of famous big time opera stars. And so knowing my priorities was so important, and I feel extremely blessed that I have my son and daughter and a really supportive husband, and you mentioned, and really supportive parents who through my youth with the lessons and summer camp and yes, and who have missed maybe only a handful of any of my performances. They were in New York when I made my Carnegie Hall debut. They come down here for, like I said, almost all of them. And I love when my kids can be a part, and come to my performances or watch them now, virtual, a silver lining, they can, see them, broadcast too. It's just, I think, like I said, just the more we can, as artists, be creative, just believe in your mission, and I mean, it's a reciprocal thing. I mean, obviously, like, it brings a lot of joy to your heart to be able to share your music, and it brings joy to others. So just that exchange. I don't know, something I realized too, we all experienced, the lockdown together, a couple years ago, and I was 8 months pregnant with my daughter, and I was just, missing sharing music with people, that I started a porch recital series in our neighborhood. And so I did karaoke opera, I queued up the background, tracks. So I got to sing with symphony, which was fun, and, and sing for my neighbors. And that first time seeing people just come out of their houses and set up chairs and distance and just get to experience something as a community and kind of get transported from the worries and what we were all going through with and are going through with the pandemic. It was just a really beautiful, awesome experience I'll never forget. And then after my daughter was born that summer, I think she was like 3 months old, I did another one, and I went very diva with this one. We have a front porch with a roof, so I did a roof recital and did different arias then, and it was wonderful. Somebody said, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. And again, it's just just being able to share this amazing gift of music with others, and it's so appreciated. And again, both ways, both me and from the audience, it's a gift we get to share, for sure.
To keep your spirit up, especially that during that time.
Yes.
Sharing your gift with others, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing, and
thank you.
So you just use it for others. Thank you so much. So I would like to ask you if there is any website. I know you have a studio, your own studio where you teach. Mm-hmm. You have your students and also performances, your future performances. Yes. If you can share with our viewers how they can find this information about you, maybe a website.
Sure, yeah.
Maybe Facebook, something that...
I have a website, www.sarah, which is S-A-R-A, Sarah no H, SarahLEmerson.com. So Sarah, SarahLEmerson.com, and it has all my materials up there. It has a way to subscribe and reach out to me if you have any interest in any kind of performances or
So it's all on this website.
It's all on there. My studio's up there. More information on me. I'm singing Beethoven Ninth coming up in April.
In April?
Yep, April 9th with Michigan Philharmonic Orchestra, and that's over on the east side, I think in Plymouth. So I'm very much looking forward to that one. I think that should be unmasked. My first Beethoven Ninth was last fall, or actually, last year with Andrews University Symphony and Andrews University Orchestra, and that was masked. And as you can imagine, singing Beethoven masked was a unique challenge. So this should hopefully be a walk in the park. But anyway, yeah, please. And like I said, I really love doing creative programming when I take my kids to the zoo or a museum or whatnot. I'm always thinking and developing programming, these recitals, like how neat would this venue be for this kind of recital, or the thematic. And like I said, it's always a joy to perform at libraries and for different organizations to anyway, expose as many people as possible to this, gorgeous music that we have, and just keep on singing, keep the career going, and it's just an honor, and it's so fun.
Thank you so much for sharing with us and with our viewers your story. We're so thankful for you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, this concludes this episode edition of Artist Voices, where we believe that's essential for artist voices to be heard. And we thank Sarah Emerson for joining us tonight, sharing her story. And again, thank you for watching us, and see you next time.